EIGRP Lab, hello, and hold timers. We're going to pick up literally right as we completed the last objective of this lab, which was the unequal cost load balancing, because I was actually midway through recording and I realized I've got too much content for one nugget. Let's begin. Bam, check that objective off the list. Now we're down to our bonus one, and that is modifying the hello and hold timers to serial so failover on those WAN links occur in less than 5 seconds. I'm going to clear this off and redraw it just because it's a little bit messy. There we go. And you can see that I've neatly labeled each one of these interface identifiers because it's going to be really confusing on these hello and hold timers. Cisco, unfortunately, did not make these as straightforward as you would have hoped if you don't remember which interface you're on as you begin adjusting them. So before we go any further, let's jump on the serial router on this serial 1/1 interface, which is connected to 172.16.5. Let's find out what some of the defaults are. Right? So what is the default hello and hold interval? So I'm on eggs right now. I want to go over to serial. And we will do a show IP. Well, here's the interesting thing. Cisco doesn't really have a good command that shows the hello interval and the hold down timer in one place. In OSPF, you would type in show IP OSPF interface. And if we try that here, you'll do show IP EIGRP interface, which gives you a good report of which interfaces are running EIGRP, how many peers they have, some general packet stats, but nothing about the hello or hold timers. So you can add on to it show IP EIGRP interfaces detail, and let's zone into that serial 1/1 interface, serial 1/1. And right there I see the same information above, and then right below, hello interval is 5 seconds. Let's talk defaults. Cisco has two defaults for EIGRP. One for slow networks, or what they considered NBMA networks, non-broadcast multi-access, like frame relay, X25, those kind of things. And on those slower networks, they have a hello interval of once every 60 seconds. On everything else, and that means Ethernet interfaces, point-to-point links, they have a hello timer of once every 5 seconds. The default hold down timer is 3 times whatever that value is. So if you have a hello interval once every 5 seconds, in 15 seconds, it's going to consider the neighbor dead by default. If you have a hello interval of 60 seconds, in 180 seconds or 3 minutes, it's going to consider the neighbor dead by default. They do this to try and save bandwidth because they consider those NBMA links to be a little bit slower and bogged down. So looking here, I can't tell that the hold down timer is 15 seconds. You just got to kind of know that, or you can kind of do a little reasoning. If I do a show IP EIGRP neighbors, and I keep doing this command and hit the up arrow and hit the up arrow and hit the up arrow, I see this thing kind of bouncing between 10 and 15 seconds, right? Or 10 and 14. You'll never actually see 15 because it starts counting down from there. It goes, okay, 14, 13, 12, and then it gets down to 10, resets because that means it got a hello message back up to 15 seconds, right? EIGRP allows you to have different hold and hello timers on each neighbor. Not so with OSPF. If OSPF, you remember this, one of the things that has to match in the hello field is the hello and dead timer. If ham says hello every 1 second and eggs every 3 seconds, then it's going to go, I'm not going to be a neighbor. Well, with EIGRP, it doesn't do that. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to maintain a neighbor relationship for each one of them. So let's go into our serial world down here. If I go into the serial and I say, I want you to say hello once every 1 second and set your dead timer for once every 3 seconds, and you guys know dead timer equals hold down timer, right? Well, they're synonymous terms. Here's how EIGRP handles that. Serial then advertises to the eggs router and says, hey, I'm going to say hello once every 1 second and set my dead timer to once every 3 seconds. But it's bizarro land. It's backwards land. So serial is going to say, so eggs, I want you to hold me accountable to that. So what eggs sees is serial then will say once every 1 second, and then it will say, okay, from eggs perspective, if I don't hear from serial in 3 seconds, then serial is considered down on that connection. I think showing it to you will make it a lot clearer. Check this out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bust out a little Wireshark capture, right? I'm going to go over to GNS3 and let's zone in on, let's see, serial 1/1, that link right there. I'm going to right click on it and do start capture. And I'm going to say, show me from the perspective of the serial router using HDLC encapsulation. That's the default on the serial part, right? Click on that, hit OK, bust out Wireshark, ignore the error, and I'm seeing the hello messages, right? And there they are. So I see one from a source of 172.16.5.1, that's the EIGRP router, one from a source of 172.16.5.2. So let's look at this one. I'll open up the EIGRP stuff, the content of that packet, scroll down and look at the parameters. There's my K values that we've talked about in previous nuggets, and look at that. Hold time. 15 seconds. So what serial, hang on, let me grab my pen here. This is the serial router, right? Serial. What he's doing is he's saying to the other side via multicast message, I want you to consider me dead if you don't hear from me in 15 seconds. He's not saying, I will consider you dead if I don't hear from you in 15 seconds. Like I said, weird, bizarro backwards land. Also notice he's only talking about his hold time. He doesn't have the hello timer inside of this packet. Well, how does the other side know the hello timer? It doesn't. It just receives the packets, right? So I guess you could say the other side knows the hello timer because it receives a hello packet every X number of seconds. But really, all the EIGRP router knows is if I don't hear from serial in 15 seconds, he's dead. You're dead to me, serial. Now watch what happens when I go in and adjust this thing. So here's how you adjust it. I'm going to go on the serial router, global config mode, interface serial 1/1, which is the interface in question here. Here's the two commands: IP hello timer or hello interval. I'll hit question mark. EIGRP question mark. Autonomous system 90 question mark. How many seconds do you want between hellos? I'll do 1. So now, if I go back to my Wireshark, I should see that ticker going much faster. Notice, tick, tick, tick. You can see 5.2, 5.2, 5.2, 5.2, 5.2. About once a second. You can see 5.1 come in about once every, what, 5 seconds. And you can even see, oh man, it's so fun. You can actually see the 5 packets in between every 5.1, letting you know that one side is saying hello once every 5 seconds. The other side is saying hello once every 15 seconds, right? And if I look at that, and let's just grab one of those 5.2, you can see the hold time hasn't changed. It's still saying, you know what, I'm now saying hello every second, but you know what, consider me dead if you don't hear from me in 15 seconds. Now I'm going to go back to that serial router and I'm going to type in or hit IP hold time, EIGRP 90, and now it's saying seconds before neighbor is considered down. Oh, I wish they would have rewrote that a different way. What that should say is seconds before the neighbor considers you down. They probably just thought that'd be too confusing, right? So essentially serial is saying, I'm going to advertise to eggs that I want you to consider me dead in 3 seconds, right? If you don't hear from me in 3 seconds, consider me dead. Now that's better than our objective. I said failover occurs in less than 5 seconds. I'm going for some extra credit here, right? Now look at this. I'm going to go back to Wireshark. Here's our little hello, hello, hello. Let's grab one of them now. Look at that. Look at that. So serial, that's 5.2, is now advertising to eggs that I want you to consider me dead in 3 seconds. This is where all the confusion comes in. People type in this command, they come back here and they go show IP EIGRP neighbors, and they find out, well, wait a sec, hold time, it's still bouncing between 10 and 15 seconds from serial's perspective. Well, that's because the hold time doesn't affect serial, it affects the other side of the connection. Let's go over to eggs real quick. And I'll do a show IP EIGRP neighbor on this side. Now notice this. 5.2, that's the serial router. He's saying his hold down timer is 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. What that means is it's probably, you'll never see 3, right? Because it always starts counting down to 2. And by the time it gets to 1, it's already received a hello packet because I've set my hello interval. Oh, I got to breathe. I've set my hello interval to 1 second. Right? So it's always going to stay at 2 unless I miss a hello. 2, 2, 2, because it's always like hello, hello, hello. It should never drop below 2 if I'm saying hello every second, right? Are you following me? Because every time eggs receives a hello packet, it's going to reset that timer back to 3 seconds, which I never see 3 seconds because it's always counting down to 2 seconds. So when I set the hello and hold down timers on a EIGRP router, it's actually advertising that information to the neighboring device. And the neighboring device is the one that will hold it accountable to those hello and dead intervals. That is something that is so hard to find in Cisco documentation. Matter of fact, you could probably search for hours and you'll see in the forums all kinds of confusion and why does it work this way? I don't understand. I hope that explanation has helped. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on every single one of those interfaces on not eggs, but at least on serial, because our focus is between serial and eggs, right? So I'm going to go interface serial 1/0. I'll just hit the up arrow and do a hold time of 3 and a hello interval of 1. So now I'm saying hello and hold on both of those, but I've got to do it the opposite way as well, right? I've got to go to the eggs router, and on his side of the connection, interface serial 1/3, IP hello interval EIGRP 91, right? So I'm saying hello once every 1 second. IP hold time EIGRP 93. Hit the up arrow and do that same thing for the serial 2/0 command, which is the other connection. Hold time 3, hello interval 1. And now we've synchronized all the hello and hold timers between those two circuits. We are less than 5 seconds because we are saying hello every single second. And if we don't hear from a neighbor in either direction in 3 seconds, we will consider them down and fail over to the opposite link. Last verification, we'll hop back into let's go to the serial router, a little simpler router to deal with. Do a show IP EIGRP neighbors, and there's my hold time. You can see from eggs to because it's receiving that hello once every second. This EIGRP lab is done. I haven't said this as much as I did in the IC&D1 series, but I want you to do that lab. I want you to set up GNS3 or even some real routers in your environment. Go back to that lab, wipe off all the notes I have. Just go to one of the pictures where I have no markup on it. Pause the nugget and work through that on your own. See if you can accomplish those objectives off the top of your head, knowing the commands without looking at a reference book, knowing how to troubleshoot, get the thing running. Oh, such learning will happen when you apply these skills for yourself. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.